The rain had soaked through her thin coat long before she stepped inside the glass building. And yet what truly made her tremble was not the cold, but the look of judgment she felt pressing down on her from every direction. Sarah Mitchell stood there with tired eyes and a worn handbag, holding the small hand of her 5-year-old son Noah, unaware that within the next hour, her life was about to change in a way she never imagined. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that can happen on the hardest days. Sarah was a single mother living in Ohio, raising her son alone after her husband passed away in a workplace accident 3 years earlier. Since then, life had been a constant cycle of bills, rejection emails, and sleepless nights spent worrying about how to stretch one paycheck into 2 weeks. She had a college degree, strong experience, and a heart full of determination, but what she lacked was the one thing every employer seemed to want: flexibility. Noah had asthma, and daycare costs drained nearly everything she earned from temporary jobs. Still, she kept going, confirmed that one opportunity could change everything. That morning, she arrived at a large corporate office in downtown Columbus for a walk-in interview she had heard about from a friend at church. It was a chance at a stable administrative job, one that offered health insurance and regular hours. She had dressed carefully, smoothing the wrinkles in her borrowed blazer, brushing Noah's hair neatly, hoping the building would see her potential rather than her struggle. But the manager at the front desk, a man named Brian Thompson, saw only inconvenience. He noticed Noah first, then Sarah's worn shoes, then the faint desperation in her posture. Without inviting her to sit or even checking her resume properly, he coldly told her that this was not a place for children, and that she should leave immediately. He added that they were not running a charity and suggested she apply somewhere more suitable for her situation. The words landed like stones. Sarah felt her throat tighten, but she refused to cry. She gathered her resume, held Noah a little closer, and nodded politely, even thanking him before turning away. Years of being dismissed had taught her how to swallow humiliation silently. As she reached the lobby doors, her hands shook, and her heart felt heavier than it had all morning. What she did not know was that someone else had just stepped into the building. Michael Carter, the CEO of the company, had arrived unexpectedly that morning. A widowed father of a 7-year-old daughter named Grace, he usually worked from headquarters in Chicago, but personal reasons had brought him back to Columbus. Since losing his wife to cancer, Michael had learned the deep ache of single parenthood. Balancing leadership and bedtime stories had changed the way he viewed the world, especially those struggling to survive unseen. As Michael entered the lobby, he noticed Sarah standing near the exit, quietly wiping her face while trying to comfort Noah. Something about her pain felt familiar. It reminded him of the days he sat in hospital waiting rooms holding Grace's tiny hand, unsure how he would keep going. He paused, watched, and then asked his assistant to find out what had just happened. Within minutes, the story reached him. A single mother turned away without compassion. A child treated like an inconvenience. The decision was made instantly. Michael asked for Sarah to be brought back upstairs. When Sarah returned, she expected another lecture or perhaps an apology at best. Instead, she was invited into a conference room flooded with sunlight and offered water and a seat. Michael listened as she shared her journey, her loss, her determination to build a better life for her son. He noticed how Noah sat quietly, coloring on a scrap of paper, used to waiting patiently while his mother fought invisible battles. What moved Michael most was not her resume, though it was impressive, but her resilience. He saw himself in her exhaustion and his daughter in Noah's silent strength. He realized that policies mean nothing if they forget humanity. By the end of that meeting, Sarah was offered not only the job she came for, but a flexible schedule, access to the company's child care assistance program, and immediate health benefits. The manager who dismissed her was later called into a closed-door meeting explaining that leadership without empathy has no place in the company's future. As Sarah walked out of the building hours later, the rain had stopped. Sunlight reflected off the pavement, and for the first time in years she felt hope settle gently into her chest. She held Noah's hand tighter, whispering promises of a future where they no longer had to survive day by day. If this story is already touching your heart, take a moment to comment below and tell us where you're watching from or who this story reminds you of. Your words matter more than you know. Months passed, and Sarah thrived in her new role. She became known for her dedication, her kindness, and her quiet leadership. Michael often checked in, not as a boss, but as someone who understood the invisible weight she carried. Their children became friends, bonding over school projects and shared stories of missing parents they barely remembered. The company culture slowly transformed. Flexible policies expanded, empathy became part of leadership training, and stories like Sarah's were no longer rare. One compassionate decision had created ripples far beyond a single job offer. Years later, Sarah would look back at that rainy morning as the turning point of her life. Not because someone saved her, but because someone finally saw her. Before this story ends, if it touched your heart even a little, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel to support stories that remind us kindness can change everything. And before you go, leave a comment saying, "I believe in second chances," if you believe the world needs more compassion now than ever. Sometimes the greatest miracles are not loud or dramatic. Sometimes they arrive quietly, in the moment someone chooses to see a struggling soul not as a burden, but as a human being worthy of dignity, understanding, and a future.